Nicest introduction I think I've ever had. Thank you. And you stole some of my thunder too, so I don't know what to say. Thank you guys for having me. This is such a treat, and it is nice that you all are so close to my home. Can you all hear me? Yes. All right. You know, let me start off by saying this. Groups like this are special because what they don't have on the left that we all do have is hope. Regardless of the election, which we believe that there is a solid chance the president will remain in the presidency.
Amen.
Regardless of the outcome, we'll still have hope. We'll still believe that our principles and our beliefs and our faith and how we conduct ourselves will be unwavering. And that's what really drives people. That's what really causes us to take that next step forward. Unfortunately, those that don't have that hope or share that hope, their God is power and authority and authoritarian types of behavior. And that's just something that we have to continue to play defense with and fight against as we continue to move forward and live as we've been called to live. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about healthcare today. I know it's not normally an exciting topic, but I hope that I can pique your interest a little bit. I want to save as much time as possible at the end for your questions because that's my favorite part. I'd rather deal with the issues that are important to you. But let me tell you a little bit about Right on Healthcare. The basic building block of what we believe as it pertains to healthcare is the doctor-patient relationship. Everything we do goes towards improving and increasing the relationship between doctor and patient because that's really what it is. It's not the development and growth and empowerment of insurance companies because they don't deliver health care. So that's the approach that we're going to take. We have a newsletter that goes out every other week or so, and who all has been to a restaurant lately? So you guys know what those QR codes are, right? You point your camera at it and it's got a link and okay, so that's what's on those cards. I had to learn what those were. I didn't really know what those things were. I still don't like them. I like a menu. But would love for you to join our newsletter. We have a private Facebook group called Right on Healthcare. On this sheet of paper that is in front of you, I believe on the back page, or depending on what page is facing you, there's my email and my cell phone number. If you have any questions, I do help. I still can participate in advocacy. So if there is an issue with a bill or a problem with a hospital, those are the things I like to do, and I'm happy to help. We also do a lot of that on our Facebook page, where we've been able to find affordable avenues for medication and surgery and things like that for the members. So that's the fun part of my job. The policy part, you really don't see any kinds of results for years sometimes, but we continue to plug on and push as far as we can. Just recently on November 10th, yes ma'am?
I don't want you to trip on that pool.
I've got it, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. You're so kind. Just recently on November 10th, there was a hearing at the Supreme Court. Does anybody know what it was about? The Affordable Care Act, that's right. Well, you guys are sharp. We watched it, our legal team, actually the legal team at Texas Public Policy Foundation are the plaintiff attorneys for the individual plaintiffs for the lawsuit that went to the Supreme Court. And so we sat in the conference room and watched it. And based on the comments from Justice Roberts and Kavanaugh, it doesn't appear that the ACA is going to go anywhere. We don't know yet. It's not final. Again, we have hope. But based on their comments, my sense of hope has decreased a little bit, but we'll see. But again, we're going to push on and we're going to do our best to make more flexible many of the options that are available in the existing system if that's what we're left with. What's interesting about the Affordable Care Act, or let's just call it Obamacare for the sake of ease here. Do you all remember the presidential debates for the Democrats? What did they all support?
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all. Every single one of them with the exception of two. Pete Buttigieg and Vice President Biden both supported an ACA or Obamacare Plus, something with a public option. which is really just a stepping stone for Medicare for all. It's a more political way of describing it. But what does that mean? The fact that they were supporting Medicare for all and ACA plus, it's that they all recognize that the current system is broken. But they speak out of both sides of their mouths, because they'll defend Obamacare tooth and nail, saying it's better than sliced bread. But at the same time, they want to create something bigger and better from their own perspective. Again, so everybody recognizes the current system is broken. In the last 10 years, premiums, deductibles, coinsurances, copays, the overall pricing in healthcare has just been astronomical. I think everybody here can attest to that. I don't think anybody can argue that point. The facts are the facts. So let's talk about, I want to talk about, originally when I planned on coming here, we were going to talk about the future of healthcare given the new administration. I don't know what that is yet. So we're going to talk about both of them. And we're going to compare. So if you go to the side of the paper where there are two columns, under the Trump administration, and I was really thankful to be a part of the design of many of the executive orders in the America First Healthcare Plan, which I was thankful to go be a part of in North Carolina. And transparency of pricing, which goes into effect on January 1st. We'll be able to see what the real prices are that are negotiated between the hospitals and the insurance companies. That's going to be incredibly important to increase competition and decrease cost. But I'm going to go through President Trump's list, and then I'll go over and talk about candidate Biden's. President Trump, we're talking about improving the safety net, which would be Medicaid and other forms of coverages that help the vulnerable and the poor. The problem with Medicaid expansion is that it's really not a compassionate idea at all. And I'm going to jump down there, actually. No, I'll talk about that right now. Medicaid expansion, the left is pushing us very hard as a state to expand Medicaid, saying that it will help those that are poor that don't qualify for Medicaid. Well, we have 500,000 people who are eligible for Medicaid that are not enrolled, presumably because there aren't enough physicians. They can't get in to see a doctor. We spend over $1 billion a year as a state on ER claims because that's where they get primary care. So let's expand Medicaid and have all these able-bodied people crowd out those people that don't already get the care that they should be getting. Not only that, we have very disabled people. I think the number was close to 175,000 severely disabled people that are on a waiting list that cannot get the coverage that they need. Now, this is what Medicaid was intended for. Yet it's not meeting the needs of the people for whom we say that we care about. So that's the pushback that we have. And it's not to say that it's just too expensive. Every state that has expanded Medicaid, there have been left-leaning think tanks that have come in and said, not only is it not going to cost you anything to expand Medicaid, you're going to save money. I'm speechless whenever I hear that. How is it? Anyway, we can get into that later. The president has been the only president to stand up to the middlemen. You see what's happened with the pharma companies, the people that have benefited from Operation Warp Speed. And they're blatantly saying that Warp Speed had nothing to do with the development of their drug. Why? Because he has been tougher on them than any president in the history of this country. He's been tougher on the pharmacy benefit managers, the group purchasing organizations, the insurance companies, the hospitals. He has not discriminated or shown any favoritism to anybody. So I'm thankful for him to have the courage that he does. Making the medications more affordable. He's done a good bit for that, even though we are hearing from the mainstream media that that's just not the case. But if you look at the numbers, that's just the facts of it. We're seeing a lot of bills about more flexibility in using our own money, HSA reform. Chip Roy, our congressman, is a good friend, and I work with his team as well, has a wonderful bill, and the companion in the Senate is with Senator Ted Cruz. And that is just an outstanding bill that we'd love to see move into place. It'll be difficult with a divided Congress, but That's something that's in the works. Allowing for more coverage options. You know, the short-term plans that everybody decries as junk insurance, they're good plans. And what's interesting about that is that in the areas that have allowed for those short-term plans, the ACA exchange plans are actually cheaper because there's competition there. In the areas where there's just Obamacare and there's just one or two insurance companies, those premiums are out of sight. Imagine that. Competition makes things more inexpensive. I think we could have told them that, but they're having to learn it again and again and again and again. There are lots of ways that we can protect people with pre-existing conditions. Guaranteed coverage pools. Again, Senator Cruz has got a bill that is really very innovative. Doing things at the local level, allowing, you know, a lot of community giving, a lot of nonprofit organizations were turned away when Obamacare came into being. And they were the ones that were caring for the people that needed a lot of help. We had a guaranteed coverage pool in the state of Texas, and that went away when Obamacare came into being. So we need to come up with our own solutions and have Texas take care of Texans. And then he's also really attacked the FDA. The bottlenecks there. You know, do you know how long it normally takes a vaccine to get through the FDA?
8 years.
8 to 10 years. And $2 to $3 billion. The president did it in less than a year. So it's possible. There's just a lot of red tape and inefficiency and a lot of protecting their own backsides, which is their motivations for delaying things as much as they do. But we did a good job. Now let's talk about what would happen under a God forbid Biden administration. I'm not biased. He's really talked about an ACA plus, and really what that would look like. Medicare for all. Let me tell you guys, I've read the bill from beginning to end. Both versions, Bernie's in the Senate and the House version as well. Medicare for all resembles Medicare in no way. In fact, Medicare itself would go away. This is something completely new. It's a new program. The use of the word Medicare in the name is simply for marketing purposes. So don't be fooled. It's not the existing Medicare program that would be expanded. That's not the case. And in fact, the people that would be making decisions are not even physicians. It would be a board, and on this board would be union representatives and politicians and academicians. It really is quite sad to read. When you hear a politician in DC talk about healthcare, I want you to do something for me. I want you to recognize, as soon as they say that word healthcare, I want you to ask the question, are they talking about healthcare or are they talking about health insurance? There's a big difference, folks. Health insurance is not healthcare. It's a financing vehicle to help you pay for catastrophic events. But when they say you're going to lose your healthcare, they're talking about health insurance. But they're going to continue to grow and benefit those organizations as opposed to providing directed dollars to doctors and medical professionals that take care of us on an individual basis. They want a rate set for doctors' visits and hospitals. They want to say, this is the price that you're going to charge, and no more. And that's anti-free market. That's just not going to work. And you see in areas where that happens, it actually ends up being worse care, and you're going to have less professionals because physicians won't go into medicine any further or any longer. I think in the middle there, the thing that is probably the most frightening, I talked earlier on about the authoritarian bent of the left. That's absolutely the case in the way that they're approaching how to handle COVID. They're using COVID as a means to an end. And I think we saw that with this supposed transition team. One of the gentlemen on there said, yeah, we're going to have another lockdown in 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
We're going to have a mask mandate. All of these things are unconstitutional. And they know that. Vice President Biden even said that. He was saying, yes, mask mandate, mask mandate, mask mandate. And then someone said, how would that work? And he literally said, and this really wasn't broadcast very much, well, that's not really something that is constitutional that I could enforce. So they recognize that. But that's not going to keep them from saying it. And in fact, Dr. Fauci, which I know you guys are all fans of, so I apologize in advance. He recently said, I was so angry. He was talking about his colleagues in the UK, and I'll paraphrase. You can go to my Twitter account. There's a video of him there saying it. He said, we in the UK are very similar in that we believe in independence and personal responsibility, but it's come time for people to just do what they're told. I don't think he said that in Texas. That wouldn't go over very well. The other thing about COVID is the fact that, it's interesting. People will say we need to listen to the experts. We need to listen to the science. As if the science is definite. Well, it's not. There's a lot of information out there. So much of the science and the medicine has been politicized. And what they've done is they've made a god of science. And they're picking and choosing who they're going to listen to based on what is the most politically expedient. So, but again, science is ever evolving. People are learning things all the time, and they're disproving certain thoughts and ideas. That's the nature of science. It's not definitive. It's not written in stone. It's not something that here and no further that we're to bow the knee to. But that's what they would have us believe. They really don't want to have a lot of options. So you look at the way that Obamacare was intended. There was going to be traditional Obamacare exchange plans and Medicaid expansion. But Medicaid expansion was not going to be something that was a choice for the states. It was going to be mandated. And that was a Supreme Court case early on that said, no, states actually have to opt in, which thankfully that was the case. So that really ruined for them their plans to offer Obamacare to the entire country. But they don't want to have any options. They want to have one option for everybody in the name of equality. Well, when you have total equality, you're going to have the lowest common denominator of that equality. And let's see. You can just look at some of their plans for the transition. They're increasing the size of their agency, so government will continue to just increase and increase and increase. And what does that mean, everybody? Taxes. Taxes. You're paying for it. And then it's just a maintenance of the status quo and a building upon it. That's really the Biden plan for healthcare. Let's talk about what we're looking to do in the state of Texas. And just so you all know, I handle not only federal policy and policy in the state of Texas, but we've expanded our footprint. We now offer healthcare expertise in the state of Alaska, Montana, and Indiana. So, and we're implementing many of the things that you'll see here are what we're working on with those states and those think tanks that are in those states. We're pushing forward. We don't know what's going to happen with the price transparency executive order from the president. We don't know because, as you know, it's not law. It's an executive order. A new president can come in and just wipe it away with a stroke of a pen. And Vice President Biden has said that he will do exactly that with many of the healthcare executive orders that the president has signed. So we're looking to do in Texas what they cannot do at the federal level. We're looking to have the hospitals and the insurance companies disclose the actual price. Let me tell you why that's important, even for people that have insurance. So let's just say I need an MRI, which I may very well in the very near future. And if I have insurance, and this hospital over here has a negotiated agreement with, let's just say Blue Cross, and their agreement is $1,000, and their agreement over here with this hospital is $2,000 for the same test. And that happens all the time. And I have a deductible of $5,000. I'm a cash patient. at this point. Does that make sense? Okay. Which one am I going to choose? The $1,000 one, because I want to save $1,000. But would I ever know what those prices are?
Right.
No, you'll never know. You'll find out 5 weeks later. Yeah. Which is interesting. Let me tell you this. This is actually quite comical to me.
After you get the bill.
The argument from the hospitals, they've gone to court. They've lost twice now. They've said, well, we don't want to disclose those prices because that's proprietary. That's private and confidential business information. What's so funny about that is that they put that information on the explanation of benefits that you get 5-6 weeks later. So it's not a matter of if you're going to see it, it's when. So it's no longer proprietary if they're disclosing it and making it public. So I just thought I got a kick out of that. So in addition to that, we want to have, Texas is one of 5 states in the entire country that does not allow doctors to sell medications out of their own office. And the idea is to have them do that on a cash basis. I said this in Galveston when I was at the national convention. The drugs. Yeah. If you buy your medications and use your insurance, always ask what the cash price is. You'll be surprised. Use GoodRx, which is an application on your phone, and identify and see how much it costs cash. Because oftentimes, normal generic drugs and some brand drugs are very inexpensive. The copay alone is 3 to 4 times what it would be cash. May I take questions at the end?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a,
Yes.
I'm sorry, a quick demonstration of the last point you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Co-pays and stuff, and because I think it's very relevant. You probably know, and I appreciate you so much, but my insurance is with TRS, Texas Retirement System, because my husband's a retired teacher and I taught for a few years. But we have no choice. We have Aetna right now, and a couple years ago, you probably know, but you may not. They did away with copay. We used to have copay, okay, it was 20, then 30, then 40. They did away with it. So if we go to doctor for anything except the annual women's exam and the annual physical, anything else, we pay until we meet the deductible.
That's right.
Like about $1,500 a person.
Right.
Anyway, this January 1st, they're changing it, but we had no choice. They're changing from Aetna to Blue Cross Blue Shield, but I asked, same thing. No copays, you meet your deductible first, blah, blah, blah.
Copays have largely gone away. Everything has gone to a deductible, and a $1,500 deductible is actually among the lowest I've heard. The average in the country is around $5,000.
Well, you pay for that in a premium.
That's true too. The premiums have just been astronomical, but the deductibles, 85% of the people in this country never meet their deductible. So the insurance companies are receiving all of these premium dollars and never really paying out. So they've loved Obamacare because it has contributed to that situation. But as far as the drugs are concerned, and write this down if you don't mind, but texaspolicy.com/shopping list. I created a tool that it's broken out various types of healthcare services. There are general shopping tools, there are pharmaceutical shopping tools, there are surgical shopping tools, imaging, doctor, you name it. And they're all cash-based and they show their pricing. Yes, ma'am?
Is it TX or spelled out?
Shopping list.
Is it
No, the
TX
Texas
or
part.
Oh, no, it's texaspolicy.com/
Texas spelled out?
Texas
Yes,
spelled
it's
out.
Texas spelled out. Sorry. Yes, texaspolicy.com/shopping list. And if you go to the farm, there was one person on our Facebook page. She was a Medicare patient. The copay for a particular drug for her husband was $500 a month. They really couldn't do it anymore. They didn't know what to do, and they asked for help on the group. We found one of the organizations that had that exact drug for $50 a month. So it was life-changing for them. And that's help. And I've said, and I have some articles that actually are entitled this: "Healthcare is affordable if you know where to look." But we have some fundamental, foundational issues that we need to address so that we can make it more available to as many people as possible. Number 3, we're looking to, we have a problem with we don't have enough doctors. And so one of the things that is prohibitive is it's hard for the doctors to get a license here. It's very challenging to get a license here. So I'm advocating for a bill that will, and I just got it this morning from the lawyers at the state capitol, that will allow a doctor in good standing in another state that has equivalent standards to the state of Texas to be able to come to Texas and practice medicine. So we have that reciprocity, kind of like, very similar, not exactly, but similar to, the concealed handgun reciprocity laws.
Yeah.
You're abiding by very similar substantive requirements. And if you're a good doctor and you're not in trouble or have been in trouble, come to Texas. We want to continue to make liberal the use and make permanent the use of telemedicine. A lot of the flexibilities that were made possible during COVID. It's been a great use and a way of providing access. My wife is a counselor, she's a therapist, and she does a lot of teletherapy and afraid to leave their home, but they still need help. Let's see. This is actually my baby. We always talk about, as conservatives, we talk about pushing back against Medicaid expansion. We talk about, pushing back against more spending, but we never really have a solution for how to fix Medicaid. And I'm excited because this is an opportunity to fix the program and some of the broken aspects of the program that I talked about. Who here is familiar with an innovation called direct primary care? Oh, great, I get to talk to you guys about this. All right, so let me describe it to you. Direct primary care, okay, let me ask another question. Who in here knows what concierge medicine is?
Yeah, hey.
Okay, a few more. They're not the same, but they're similar. Direct primary care, think about it in terms of a Netflix subscription. I have a direct primary care doctor, and for my family of 4, I pay $180 a month, and I have 24/7 access to a primary care doctor. I can talk to him on FaceTime, phone, I can go to his office, whatever. And I have a lot of services that are included in that. I never have to pay him a dime other than that. So that's what direct primary care is. It really improves that relationship between primary care physician and patient. They know who we are. They know what we've been through. And if I don't call him, they'll call and check on me. So it's a very interesting and great innovation. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make that available for the vulnerable and Medicaid. So carve out some of the money that we give to the insurance companies, no extra spending. Carve out some of the money that's already given to the insurance companies, have it attributed to a membership so that these people can have a relationship with a doctor. If they can't go to the doctor because they don't have transportation, or because they can't find childcare, or because they can't get in to see the doctor for 3 weeks, at least they'll have a relationship and they can get to him on the phone. Because of the way that our sick care system is designed, it's difficult for physicians to take care of patients without seeing the white in their eyes because of all the codes that they have to report, right? If you don't have something wrong with you and there's no code associated with what's wrong with you, they can't get paid. Well, in this system, they're already getting paid and they're motivated to take care of you and keep you well. So a population like Medicaid that gets all of their primary care in not all, substantial amounts of their care in the emergency room, which is the worst place to get primary care. I've run a number of hospitals, and I can tell you that I loved my ERs, but you don't want to go there if you're well or relatively well. It's a petri dish. But we want to be able to offer that, and we want to be able to have them get the care that they need. And not only will it be fiscally responsible for the state, it'll be better care for the people that Medicaid was intended for. So I'm excited about that one. We're gonna push. I may need y'all's help in reaching out to your representatives. And then the last is medical cost sharing. They're the sharing ministries. There are also non-religious cost sharing organizations. I also use that. I actually don't take the insurance offered at TPPF because I'd be paying twice what I pay now. And my deductible is a third of what it is in the insurance. So I use Sedera Health, which is a cost sharing model. But we want to be able to give them the same protections as the sharing ministries. and give them a safe harbor from overreaching regulation, because that just increases the cost when what they offer is already very valuable and very inexpensive. So from there, I'm going to move to take questions. Oh my. Yes, ma'am, you were first.
I would just like to suggest that for hospitals like MD Anderson,
Mhm.
the research teaching hospitals, is there special consideration given to their different types of expenses, their services? Having used MD Anderson, thank God for MD Anderson.
Absolutely.
And of course, there's nothing like that one, but there are some huge teaching hospitals and
Yes.
the big care centers.
Yeah.
Are they being looked at a bit differently than your community hospitals?
Well, they should be. Now, I'm not anti-insurance. I think situations like having cancer and going to MD Anderson, that's what insurance is for. It's for a catastrophic event.
Yeah.
And I'm from Houston, so I recognize the value. But you know, in my cost sharing group that I'm a part of, they'll pay for MD Anderson. But guess who won't pay for MD Anderson? Or Sloan Kettering, or Mayo Clinic, the 3 centers of excellence for cancer. Guess who doesn't have them in network? The Obamacare exchanges. So if you're on Obamacare, sorry about your luck. Yes, ma'am, you were next.
So, 2 questions. Could you, on that reciprocity deal for the, particularly since your wife is a counselor, does that include mental health providers as well?
No, right now it was limited to physicians and nurses, because that's what the sponsor wanted it limited to, because if you had it so expansive, it would be harder to get through.
And I understand that. And then the secondary thing is that the federal government is the primary funder of intern slots for training for doctors, and they haven't really expanded that. And thank God they allowed PAs and nurse practitioners years ago. Is there any movement for them to expand those training slots for doctors?
I'm actively pushing for that. You know, we have 20,000 people in the United States. Think about this. In a time when we have a physician shortage, we have 20,000 people that have graduated from medical school that didn't have the ability to get a slot in a residency. So they can't practice medicine without a residency. So yes, we need more residency slots, and there's a limit arbitrarily made by Congress. I do think that the kids here in the U.S. should have first opportunity to get residencies, because we're taking a lot of foreign medical students, which is fine, but we should give preference, I think, to those that we educate here in the United States first. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I have several questions. One, that direct primary care, is that for $128 a month? Is that something anybody can do?
Yes, ma'am.
So I can just look that up on the internet, direct primary
If you go to
care?
the shopping list, you can go on. There is a website called DPC Frontier, and there's a map that will show you where in the country they are and how much they charge based on your age range.
And you said you have that in addition to your share
That's correct.
ministry thing.
And I'll tell you, so I have, for my family of 4, we have the unlimited direct primary care, and we have coverage through Sedera with the equivalent of a $1,500 deductible, and I pay less than $500 a month.
Do you know the website?
Okay, and then also,
One moment, I'll come back to you.
I have 2 more questions.
All right.
You said you have a Twitter account. Do you happen to have a Parler, or do you plan on getting on Parler? Because we
I
all
do.
kind of want to get off of
Yeah,
Twitter.
no, I do. And they're the same. It's David Balat, HC for healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then-
I need to get more active on Parler. I just started it.
Okay, great. We want to encourage that.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, do you know about where people can get access to hydroxychloroquine that Dr. Manuels and a lot of doctors are saying if you just take 2 pills a month,
Mhm.
that is a good prophylactic to not have to worry about COVID.
That's really a decision between you and your physician. And again, so and I've been taking it since before the president even talked about it, because I work with a lot of doctors, and they said, well, we want you to be well, and so take this. And I said, sure. Which should cause you to question my judgment sometimes, but no, but it's been great. And I've been exposed to a number of people, and I've never really gotten it. So, I can't really give you that kind of advice. You'd have to check with the doctor.
Well, it's not necessarily advice, but do you know of doctors here in Texas that will prescribe it?
I think I don't. They're different. They're under a lot of scrutiny, and so many are afraid to. Ma'am, over here, I know you had your hand up next.
Oh, I just wondered what the website was for DPC Frontier.
It's dpcfrontier.com, and they have a mapper. And unfortunately, going to take one last question. And you had your hand up earlier.
I did, thank you. Do you have any insight into what the implication would be with the new administration on medical device and medical supply companies to work directly with GPOs and IDNs? Any change, any?
I don't think, okay, so she's talking about the middlemen. And one of the big reasons why we had PPE shortages is because of these middlemen. They're controlling supply and demand so that they can benefit themselves financially. I personally don't believe that there will be any change if Vice President Biden becomes president. But I do believe that President Trump will continue to, I mean, he's made a commitment, and he's been fighting the entire time. So I'll certainly be telling him about it. So I think that there will be progress in a Trump administration. Okay, one more.
Yeah, TRS, because it's so huge, you know,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
teachers, past, present, and future. So, with our insurance, so can y'all affect what they do, their decisions about what insurance companies we have choice of and all that?
They don't like to take advice from me. I've tried, and I'll be trying more after session to come in, and because we're actually trying to say, why don't you use direct primary care? Why don't you use direct options? Because in Austin, we have the Texas Free Market Surgery Center. And if you go to their website, oftentimes anybody I refer there, they're on that shopping list as well. They're usually 10 to 20% less than surgery in a hospital. And their outcomes are outstanding. But no, yeah, I'd love to. If you know somebody that'll listen to me, I'd be happy to talk to them. Yeah, no, they keep things close to the vest, and they tend to be a little bit more to the left. So, yeah, I'll talk to anybody. I don't care, Democrat, Republican. But it's what's funny. I'll tell you all this. When I go to see the Democrat representatives, the first question I usually get from them is, "What are you doing here?" And my response is always this. We all want the same thing. We just have different ways of getting there. We want people to have affordable care. We want people to have access. I just don't agree with your approach. And maybe we can agree on those areas where we agree. You're not going to get me to move on those areas where we disagree. But that's no reason for us to hate each other. And I'll give credit to the Democrats in Texas. They're much better than the ones in D.C. The ones in D.C. won't even take a meeting with me, which is why I'm shocked about this meeting I'm about to go to. And in fact, I've got to leave right now. So thank you all very much.